and we are live on Facebook.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, internets. Hello, how are you, internets? Yeah, right, there we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Cool. Right,
Perfect. Off you go. You can do the intro here.
I'm doing an intro, am I? Right, cool. What are we doing?
We are drinking beer, Tricky. That's what
we
we're
are, we
doing.
are. That's what we're doing. We're drinking some beer. Okay. Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Hop Edition. And tonight, just me and Chris, the Hop Edition OGs, doing a. Right, sorry, that's really distracted me. The music has just started playing on the track on Logic. Let's run that one again. Apologies for anyone who's listening live. Fuck, sorry, Chris. We're gonna have to just restart the recording thing.
Is yours broken?
Oh, it just stopped it then when I tried to kill the music. So
All right, just a minute.
minor
Okay.
technical difficulties. Okay, count in again.
3, 2, 1, click. Off you trot, mate.
Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Hop Edition. It's just me and Chris tonight, the Hop Edition OGs, doing a little commercial pod. So drinking a few beers, having a little bit of chat about what's going on brewing-wise, but also talking about a little bit of news relevant to the podcast that we'd like to share with you all, and hopefully get some feedback from you on as well. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it indeed.
So should we get straight down to business, Chris, and make sure that we get the most important bit on the front end of the podcast? So
What, the beer?
well, before the beer, we'll just talk about what the news is. What's the news for the Hop Edition that we've got to tell people about?
Okay, so basically, in order to help us to drive the podcast forward, and you've noticed over the last few episodes, we've had some really good guests on. We've been talking about some really sort of good topics. We've been pushing the podcast forward, and we've got a lot of things in the works that we really want to be able to do. We've got ideas that we want to be able to achieve, and because of this, we've decided that we're going to open up the podcast to basically Patreons. So we've got our own Patreon page now, which is patreon.com/the Hop Edition podcast, all one word or all one sentence mushed together, kind of like German. And basically there are multiple tiers for you to be able to become a Patreon. There are multiple things that are rewards for you for signing up as a Patreon. For anybody who's listening who represents a commercial business, obviously to do with brewing or home brewing, we don't want, Jack's Tire Store advertising on our podcast. I'm not quite sure that you're reaching a target audience if you're doing that. But there's a lot of places, a lot of homebrew stores, a lot of bottle shops. Anybody who wants to sponsor the podcast, get a big shout out, be mentioned at the start of the podcast. There is an option for commercial patronage, which I've now decided is a word, for you to be able to set up and to basically support the podcast for us to be able to get where we want to go. So once again, that is patreon.com/the Hop Edition podcast. So that's where we're going. We've got a lot of things that we want to do. We have some pretty big things in the works at the moment, but a lot of this is going to require some more money going forwards. And we figured that we could give you guys a little bit of something if you give us a little bit of something to enable us to just drive everything forward.
Definitely. So yeah, I mean we've done a little bit of fundraising before in the past, haven't we? But essentially the costs that come with running the website and keeping the podcast going are always going to be there. So it would be nice to have that covered regularly, not having to do the intermittent sort of fundraising efforts or whatever. but it also gives us a chance to do things like the merch and stuff like that on a more formal basis. I don't know what you know what I mean. Anyway, so
I know what you mean.
give us the opportunity to actually buy a bit of stock for things like that and be able to send that out to people without that just being a sort of as and when kind of random thing as well. So yeah, that's what it's all about. And as Chris said, hopefully it will enable us to do a few different things going forwards as well, in terms of just expanding on our ideas for stuff that we can do with the pod, and maybe even events and things that we can set up via the pod in collaboration with other people too. So yeah, Chris has read out the site that you need to go to for that, but there'll be links on the Facebook page for the Hop Edition. I guess we'll put a link into the description for this pod when it's actually up on the website. Is there a post on the website for the Patreon itself?
Not yet. It is in draft.
There will be shortly.
I didn't want to make anything live until we'd already talked about it.
So we did let a few people know kind of prior to this podcast that this was going live, and some of our regular listeners have been very kind and actually signed up to Patreon already. So
yeah,
we should probably give them a little shout out. It's our first chance to give a Patreon shout out here, Chris.
Well, the OG, the first one who signed up was Brett Harmon from Harmon Brewing, and Graham Hughes.
I'm glad you managed to remember his surname.
Yeah. To be fair, I know about 9 people called Graham, 4 of which are brewers. So yeah, that one was tricky. Obviously you're tricky, but that one was quite difficult. And then there was Luke, who signed up as well. And of course, the legend that is Mr. Richie Brooks, he signed up as well. So we've got a few guys on there already. There's multiple tiers. Choose the one that's appropriate for you and go with it. It's it's looking like this is going to allow us to really push forwards. We've got a lot of really good ideas. The 4 of us sat down about a month ago, and we had a real good conversation about sort of where it is that we'd want to go. I'm not sure Tricky remembers this. He was quite drunk. But we had a conversation.
I know nothing.
Yeah, I know nothing. I'm from Barcelona. But we had the conversation, and there's some places where we want to take the podcast, some things that we want to do, but that is all going to require a hefty input, and it's going to not exactly going to be something that we could fund out of our regular sort of podcast budget, because I have a budget for the podcast every month, and some of the things we want to do, it's going to take a little bit more money than that, and we want to give you guys the best possible content. And yeah, Michael Hall is on YouTube. He's assuming the tier costs are on there and potential rewards for such. Absolutely, Michael, they are all on there. Patreon.com/the Hop Edition podcast, and everything is on there, everything that you need to know. So feel free to have a look. And yeah, let's drink a beer, shall we, Trick?
Indeed. And just remember, guys, you've already got 40-something episodes for free. So
absolutely, way more than 40, to be fair.
40. So, oh well, yeah, that's not including all the commercial ones that aren't actually numbered, is it? So
no.
So yeah, but yeah, people are paying for this shit now, Chris, and we're gonna have to take it all serious.
No, we're not.
Anyway, yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
That's the longest I think we've ever got into a pod without anyone drinking a beer.
Well, I did actually have my raspberry and hibiscus saison, so you know I deserve a beer after what I've done today. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What are you drinking, Tricky?
So I have got a collaboration beer from Verdant and Unity.
Oh, hello.
So when
what's it called?
It's very difficult to read the name on it, but I think it's Slanted Tones.
Okay, so we'll go with that.
When Jimmy was on the podcast with us a few weeks back, he was actually talking about having been over to Verdant the weekend prior, I think it was, because we were trying to order beers from him. the weekend prior, and it was like, oh, there's nobody actually in the brewery because we're all going down to Verdant. So that's why Andy didn't get those beers in time for the actual podcast, and I ended up ordering them from Clapham Craft or something like that. But anyway, so this was the beer that they were brewing that very weekend, and it is it's got an interesting selection of hops on it. So it's a 6.5% IPA, hot side, Laurel and Talus.
Oh, hello.
Quite familiar with Talus now because that's been used a lot in commercial beers, and I think most of us have tried it out ourselves in home brews. Laurel not so much, although I know it's a maybe slightly more nobly kind of styled new hop, so a bit more heavy on the herbal kind of noble hop characters rather than the big fruity stuff. And then cold side, these must be experimental varieties because they're just numbered. So it's HBC 586 and 630. No fucking idea what those are. And Citra. So you've always got to have some Citra in there.
Everybody puts Citra in everything these days.
So yeah, I guess those guys got together, Unity and Verdant, and they probably went, well, let's try out some of these new hops that we're getting thrown at us. And this is the result. I did have I have had a couple of cans of this already. When I got it, it was literally had been canned like 3 or 4 days earlier, so it was straight off, and it was really nice straight away. But it did have that slight greenness to it that you get with beers that are that fresh that they've literally just come out of the tank, sort of thing. So it's had a couple more weeks, well, probably maybe another 3 or 4 weeks, just to develop a little bit. And the aroma is awesome. It's just like massive. I mean, you get a hell of a lot of Citra off of it, but then there's a really deep kind of like just juice, just like what was that? What was that like mixed juice? Like Five Alive. Five Alive. Makes me think of that.
Five Alive.
Mixed citrus juices, and
I always love Five Alive.
Loads of quite a bit of mango on there as well. It's like heavy, you know, sort of like tropical citrus fruit aroma.
I'll be honest, guys. If some of our chats sound a bit like a walk down memory lane, it's because we're both of that age where we remember these wonderful things from our childhood. Because we've got families, we wonder if they're still bloody made or not. So if Five Alive is still a thing, let us know in the chat. Either on Facebook.
Say that's something I have not seen in a long time. But yeah, and then on the flavor, it's like super juicy, super dank. It's very full and kind of neeperish, but it's still got a bit of bitterness to it. So I would say it's, you know, it's obviously a hazy IPA, but it's more
mid-coast.
Mid-coast, yes, that's it. It's definitely not a West Coast. It's definitely not full on Nipah either. It's
you know, the thing that's always
whatever the trendy name is for those things nowadays.
The thing that's always bothered me about that mid-coast theory is there is no coast in the middle of America.
That is a good point.
I mean, Michigan's up north where all the Great Lakes are, so I don't think there's any water in the middle. What's the central state in America? What are we talking? Missouri or something?
Fuck knows.
It's landlocked anyway. Do you know what I mean? A mountain IPA, Luke's called it. We'll go with a mountain IPA.
IPA sounds good.
Yeah,
I can work with that. So yeah. Anyway, that is a great beer. I don't know. They probably haven't got any of it left on the website, I would imagine, by this point, because they tend to sell out of specials like this pretty rapidly. But if anyone else was lucky enough to get some of that, I think that's yeah, Verdant's usual kind of high standards, and then a little bit of input from Unity, who's you know, when Jimmy came on the podcast, I think I'd maybe tried a couple of their beers quite a while prior to that, but when I got some to try for the podcast, I was genuinely quite blown away by how good they were, and I know you got quite a few that you thought were were very good as well, Chris. So
I'm on my second order.
You've already put another order in.
I've put another order in, and another order with Lost Pier as well.
See, I got a nice little selection off of the craft beer place that I ordered mine from, but because I couldn't order them direct from the brewery, I missed out on a lot of the beers that you guys tried. So I'm definitely itching to get another order in so I can try some of those other ones out, because there's a really good selection on their website as well, like loads of different styles as well. So a few sours, the lagers were quite a few different varieties of lager, and a couple of those that I tried were really good.
The session,
what was the unfiltered something or other?
Yeah, that was really good. But the table beer,
see, that was one of the ones I didn't get, and everyone else was raving about
it.
Mate,
2.8%, and it drinks like it's 5. It's brilliant. It's such a great beer. But it sounds to me like you're really enjoying that one.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's nice. I'm on a bit of a West Coast vibe these days anyway. So, I'm glad it's not just pure. Somebody was talking about flabby beers on the podcast with Johnny the other day, but I'm glad it's not just a pure sort of flabby Nipah with no bitterness at all. I think it's nice to have a little bit of that, but still with the really big tropical juicy flavor in there as well. So, yeah, 2 really good breweries coming together there and doing the business.
Thanks to Thomas in Sweden, who's just signed up for a Patreon. Thanks, Thomas.
Yes, Thomas.
Get in there, son. He may live in a land where it's daylight for 4 hours a year, and he's 1,000 miles from anything remotely resembling civilization, but, he's a good lad. Jay Fawkes in the house as well. Yeah, I think he's just joined us, so he's going to be a little confused as to what's going off. So it would appear that we're on a bit of a Verdant kick tonight, Tricky.
Oh,
because I jumped into the fridge and I came up with Headband.
Oh, nice.
Which I've never had before.
Really?
But based purely on the can art, I need to have this again.
I'm pretty sure Headband is one of their.
I think it's either a core range or something.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, as close as you can get to core for Verdant, because I think they kind of rotate everything to an extent. But that's definitely one of their regulars and one of their older recipes that they've been doing for quite a while.
It's a cracking taste. Citra Mosaic, Chinook and Columbus on the hot. Citra Mosaic, Chinook and Columbus on the cold. It is a 5.5% pale ale with barley, oats, and yeast, apparently. It smells phenomenal. It's got that kind of skunky, resinous, that kind of Chinook kind of thing going on.
I was going to say, you can tell some of the Verdant recipes are the slightly older ones because they're a bit more heavy on the Chinook and Columbus and the real dank hops. Whereas obviously the newer beers tend to have either newer hops or more of the soft juicy stuff. But yeah,
I think I cocked up the pour. I'll be honest with you, unless it's supposed to be a bit of a Merc bomb. It's not as dark as it looks on the lights. I need one shining this side. It is, mate. The smell of this
is good.
It's one of those beers where you think, oh, it's old school. It's going to be a bit weird. And then you taste it and you go, I could do with a bit of old school.
Yeah.
It's like you look at all these modern day supermodels and they're beautiful and everything. But who doesn't want a little bit of, Cindy, whatever her name was, or Naomi Campbell, or Erika Eleniak, or a bit of Pamela Anderson in a prime? Everybody wants a bit of that. But this
definitely in the prime, not currently.
In a prime. Not now. In a prime. The one thing that I like about this beer, right, which is compared to a lot of the current beers on the market, is there's a little bit Cindy Crawford, that's her name. I was going to say Cyndi Lauper, definitely not Cyndi Lauper. It's a bit more orange, right? There's clearly a bit more color gone into it. There's a bit more of those kind of crystal malts, those slightly darker malts. Kelly Brook, now you're talking, Brian. Good shout. I'll take some Kelly Brook, thank you very much. Twice on a Sunday as well. But it's got a bit more of that kind of caramelized crystal character to it. And I really like that with the dank, dirty hops.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a lovely flavor. They really work well together.
Yeah, there's I mean, when we were talking about the West Coast stuff on the last pod, there's a lot of and there is a lot of chat around currently about, crystal malts, you can't go in those sorts of beers anymore because they'll, oxidize the hops and blah blah. And I'm sure there's some, there's some truth to that in a way. But there's also loads of beers where there is that more old school flavor profile with a bit of crystal malt in it. I had a beer from Don Zoco, which was a West Coast pale the other night, which had crystal malts in it, and it's like the Sierra Nevada is basically the sort of the OG on that front. It's just got a big whack of Crystal 60 in the recipe, and it gives you that caramelly sort of resin, kind of flavor that I think is when you're in the mood for it is still really nice in those sorts of beers, and in some of the stronger kind of West Coast IPAs as well. So yeah,
I do like it when you go out. I mean, we've got like a barbecue place in Wakefield, and it's not great, but it's all right if you want a burger. You know what I mean? They do burgers really well. The rest of it is overcooked, but I pick. It's the beer that I always order when I go there because I know they've got it in bottles, and I know they've got Pilsner Urquell. Everybody's drinking Stella and Foster's.
You're all set if you've got those options.
If you've got Pilsner Urquell and Sierra Nevada, we're golden, aren't we? Let's face it. I could do a week on those two beers. I could probably do a week on Pilsner Urquell on its own, to be fair. Lager the way it's supposed to be made, but this is really nice. Really, really nice. It's got that piney resinous thing with a fruity overtone. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And the flavor's just amazing.
Yeah, I think that's that's definitely the benefit of using, those sort of old school C hops, your Columbus and your Chinook in there, in the probably hot side as well, in the boil somewhere, and or late in the boil, and then having things like, did you say Mosaic was in there as well? Or?
Mosaic, Citra, Chinook, and Columbus.
Yeah, having those kind of singing over the top of that kind of base flavor is really nice. So.
It is. It's a lovely one. So yeah, first beer in the bag. What you been up to this last week then, Trick? Anything brewing related?
Yeah, I've been kind of desperately trying to get a few brews under my belt to actually have something ready to send off to competitions that I've sort of entered without thinking about when or what I was actually going to brew for them. So I've been trying to throw together my sort of attempt at a tribute to Steady Rolling Man, which is a pale ale by Daya Brewing, which is a bit of a benchmark kind of APA for me. No sort of definitive recipe online anywhere for that, because I think they keep their cards pretty close to their chest as far as
Steady Rolling Man by Daya.
Yeah. All I could find was basically the hops that are in it, and that was it. So I just sort of threw something together based on a recipe that I've done myself, which was really good, and sort of just kind of translated the hops that were in that into the same sort of schedule for that, because I thought the final beer wasn't had shared some characteristics of that pale ale. But anyway, so that's just been kegged today, and I've got a New Zealand Pilsner, which I brewed a few days ago. That was looking a bit sketchy because I bought some Imperial yeast from the malt miller, but unfortunately it was like right at the end of its whatchamacallit, sort of use by date or whatever. So even though they're bigger packets, it's like it was getting towards 4 months, I think, from manufacture.
So it's basically 50% dead at that point.
Yeah.
It?
So it really would have needed a starter, but the reason I bought it was because I needed something that I would be able to pitch straight in, because I was like brewing the the next day. So I was just like, oh fuck it, I'll, you know, throw it in and hope for the best. And it did take the best part of 3 days to really get going.
Ooh, dear.
So yeah, I'm a bit worried, a bit worried about that. I think
You made your starter in the beer.
yeah, exactly. It was one of those where you're just coming back to look at it every day or something, going, nope, still not even a bubble coming out of that. So
not a peep. We've all had beers like that, though, haven't we? I mean, I remember pitching a packet of Ringwood that was a week before its use-by date. Back in the days when I didn't really think too much about yeast. And it took 2.5 days before I even saw the first raft of a Krausen.
Yeah.
I mean, Ringwood's always been a lazy ass yeast for me anyway.
Well, the thing is, those like Imperial, you can kind of get away with it to an extent because they have a fairly short, they're fairly short
3
dated
months
on them anyway. And it's it's about twice as much yeast anyway. But with those, with the like Y yeast and the White Labs ones, you've got half as much yeast to begin with, and the like I think it's 6 months they generally go on as far as use by period. Like if they're anywhere near 6 months with those, that's like I don't know, I forget what it says in the calculator, but you're probably looking at like 30% viability.
I don't think it's even that, is it?
At best, just as a guess, but it's pretty fucking low.
It's terrible when that happens because you would have thought these people, they're taking your money, they're trying to supply you with a product, and if they're not supplying that product appropriately, then why the hell are they even bothering? And I do believe, Tricky, that you've got a video on that.
There is a video specifically about doing starters and cell counts and that. And I'm not by no means obsessive about cell counts and things like that, but when I realized how low the viability is likely to be with particularly the Y yeast and the White Labs packs, even if they're just a few weeks past manufacturer, let alone getting close to their use by date, I thought it was some information that was worth putting out there to tell people like what's the likely sort of ballpark figure is going to be in terms of the actual number of cells that you're pitching in that case, because in the majority of beers, even if it's at full viability, if you're doing anything above a kind of low to medium original gravity, you're probably under pitching anyway without any sort of starter. So again, one of the reasons why I think Imperial yeast and Omega do big packs as well, don't they? I think
Omega do 150 billion, I think.
Maybe Giga yeast as well. There's a few others now that do the bigger packs, and I think it's an obvious thing to do. It surely can't cost them that much more money in terms of the actual material to do it. And like you say, why would you be selling a product that's sort of, if you follow the instructions, you're likely to have a bad result, if not an abject failure with it?
It's like Aldi's oranges.
Okay.
Right. So Oscar literally destroys tangerines and satsumas like they're going out of fashion, right? But if you buy them from Aldi, which we've done on occasion when we've bobbed in to buy stuff, you've got maybe 3 or 4 days before they're starting to look a bit tired and a bit shabby and like they need to go in the bin. Whereas Sainsbury's, 3-4 weeks, no problems. It's almost like Aldi's buying the stuff that Sainsbury's are getting rid of at the end. I'm not saying they are, but that's what it looks like. So it's one of them things you've got to put out a product that's good for what it's supposed to be good for. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, nothing wrong with those yeast if you sort of know how to handle them. But the fact is, if you follow the instructions on them and you're pretty new to using liquid yeast, in a lot of cases, it's not going to be an adequate amount of yeast going into the beer. And I just find it odd that you would want to sell the product like that when, and you see it on forums and stuff like that all the time. People just get put off because they'll go, okay, well, been getting on great with dry yeast, nice and easy, throw it in, off it goes, no issues. Oh, I'm going to try some liquid yeast, put it in.
Nothing.
Packet said it was going to be good to go, direct pitch, all of this sort of stuff, and 4 or 5 days later, nothing's happened, and your beer's probably gone off or got an infection by that point.
That's kind of where it goes, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. I'm not entirely sure sort of where we go. I think there's some manufacturers who have taken a pretty wholesome and solid approach to dealing with yeast recently. I'm using Omega almost exclusively now. I really like their yeast. I like the varieties that they've got. I'm actually talking about where we're going with our brewing. I'm actually brewing a Kolsch tomorrow using I can't remember the number, but it's Kolsch 2 by Omega Labs. Yeah. And that arrived beautiful. I think it's 2.5-3 months before the best before. It's got 150 billion in it. Run it through the calculator. I've got 110 billion cells. It's an ale. It's fine. You know what I mean? I can pitch that direct without any problems. Still have enough to slant it. Still have enough to make another starter to go in the fridge. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. I do genuinely think that there are some that are really, really pushing forward and giving us some good yeast to be working with. So yeah, and they're obviously listening to feedback as well.
Well, there's not, liquid yeast are a bit more expensive. You do pay a bit of a premium for it, and if it's a difference between sort of 8 quid or 10 quid, when I'm going to get a pack with like twice as much yeast in that I feel confident I can just pitch without having to make a starter, then it's not really, worth trying to save that 2-3 quid for me to get something that is going to stress me out, because I think I'll have to make a starter. Now I've got to build that into my schedule, that I've got time to do that and all the rest of it. So
I was talking to a friend of mine who's an economist.
Saying that, having just pitched a fucking Imperial packet that took like 4 days to kick in, but never mind.
So I was talking to a mate of mine who's an economist, and he works for one of the big banks down in London. And we were talking about the whole inflation thing that's going off currently at the minute and the rising prices and all that sort of stuff. And I said, at what point is everything going to fall back down then? Because he's a modeler. He actually models all these things. And he says basically 12 months and prices will start to fall big time. They will really start to drop. And I said, why is that? And he went, one word. He said, confidence. Confidence is what makes the world go round. If you're not confident in something, you won't do it. If you're not confident in something, you're not going to buy a product. If you're not confident in the government, you're going to vote the other way. If you're not confident in the way that the economy is going, you're not going to invest your money anywhere. Markets are going to fall. Everything's going to happen that way. If you're not buying a product, it's because of confidence. A lot of the time, it's a lack of money, but ultimately it comes down to confidence. And it's the same thing with brewing. You're going to find a manufacturer that gives you a yeast that you like because you've got confidence in them. You're going to buy their products. And I think there's a lot to be said, specifically in the brewing world and in everything that we do and everything that we perform on a brew by brew basis. A lot of it comes down to confidence. If you don't have the confidence in your system, if you've moved to a new system, you're going to be measuring everything. You're going to be over that like a hawk. If you've got confidence in your system, like I've got in mine, I can literally flick mine on, cook the kids' breakfast, mash in, give it a stir, go back into the house, deal with the kids, cook lunch, get stuff sorted, come back, do the boil. I have confidence in that brew system. I don't need to watch over it too much. If you don't have confidence, everything goes to hell in a handbasket.
100%. And I've got a lot of those yeasts on slants anyway. So for me, it's like, if I know that I'm probably going to have to make a starter anyway when I buy it, I'd rather just build it up from a slant, even though it's going to take me a little bit longer, because I'm like, well, the benefit to me, or the benefit should be to me, of buying a fresh packet, that I feel that I can just direct pitch that and not have any issues. So, just in my little anecdotal case, Wyeast and White Labs have probably lost quite a lot of purchases from me over the years because of the packets basically being undersized for
I
whatever
literally
reason they
won't
chose
buy
to do
White
that.
Yeast.
Yeah.
I won't buy them anymore. I'll go to anybody but White Yeast. You know,
I'll buy it for a particular strains that I want, but it's always with a mind to build it up massively and then basically put it onto slant, so I don't have to buy it again after that. So, yeah,
it's one of them things. You know, the world runs on confidence, mate. The brewing world and every other world. So there we go. Have you finished your beer?
not quite. I've still got a little bit left.
Yeah, me too. I've got a little bit left. So other than that, obviously me moving forward, I'm brewing a Kolsch tomorrow. I rebuilt my craft beer pie panel today, and I'm looking forward to making this Kolsch. It was a style that I made for the first time before you guys came down in October, or up, or across, whichever way you came. And I really enjoyed it so much that I think it's going to be tap 4 on my kegerator going forward. Very, very lovely, tasty, easy to drink, summery style. And
Yeah,
we're getting warm weather. Do you know what I mean?
I was going to say
21 degrees outside today, mate.
Yeah, I think we're about the same here. And yeah, basically at the minute, as soon as the sun's out, I'm like, need to brew lager, Kolsch.
Yeah.
Hellas.
This
sort of stuff. Hellas. Get it in the tank for when the hot weather inevitably disappears and it pisses down all the way through July and August. So
Well, it's supposed to get really cold from Tuesday, isn't it? All of the warm weather that's blowing up from mid-Europe and Africa is now
I mean, to be
being
fair,
replaced by other stuff.
It's a fucking minor miracle that we've actually got some reasonably warm weather on a bank holiday weekend. So yeah, take that.
Especially on the Easter bank holiday weekend when it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday kind of trip.
Yep.
You know, the wife's had me outside. You may have noticed I've got a bit of a tan. We've redone the entirety of the front garden, and we are probably a third of the way through redoing the back garden, like digging all the plants out. Do you remember when you came down and you looked at the right-hand side of the shed and it was just an infestation of ivy?
Yeah,
that's gone.
Good.
Cheese plant's gone. Red robin's gone. We're laying some flags across the front of the shed. So we've got nice hard standing outside and everything. No more stepping on those 3 bits of wood. Yeah, it's fun, man. I enjoy it. And craftily keep a glass full on top of the Keezer. Wife doesn't know about it. I was 7 pints in before we went inside yesterday. It was great.
Good effort.
Get a few beers in, man. Do a bit of gardening.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Well, I mowed the lawn yesterday. I wouldn't say I went as far as doing gardening, but
Oh, mate.
yeah.
I found
the old electric mower was struggling with the several months worth of unkempt growth on the lawn. I was like, oh yeah, definitely not going to get through this on one battery charge.
Oh, is yours an electric? Is a cordless?
Yes.
You see, I would never go cordless on a mower, mate. I have enough issues with cordless
to be
drills.
Fair. There's not that much there's not that much lawn area out there, so it's just it's only if you let it like grow too long where it doesn't get through it in one charge. But I'm like, oh, what a shame the mower's died. I'm gonna have to go and get a beer while I wait for the battery to charge.
I see your plan.
It could be worse. It could be worse.
It could be much, much worse. So yeah, other than that, it's been a wonderful few days. Oh yeah, and I've currently got COVID.
And clearly suffering very badly.
I am suffering so bad, it's untrue. I'm suffering so badly, I might not be able to go back to work on Tuesday.
Oh, that's awful.
I know. I'm going to have to do the whole 5 days. To be fair, I won't, because there's so much going off at work this next week coming up. If I'm not there, the whole place is going to be, it's going to be horrific. So I sent my boss a message on WhatsApp saying, I've just tested positive, and she went, you better make sure you're back in on Tuesday. She doesn't mean it like that. She's lovely as my boss.
What can you do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. What can you do? What can you do indeed? So, yeah. Oh, by the way, Tricky, great work on getting those 2 podcasts up when you did.
It took a little bit of effort, but It needed doing because I was.
Did you have a few beers while you were doing it?
Yeah, of course. Has to be done.
Standard. Standard. So there we go. First beer's in the bag. I think we need to get another beer, Tricky.
Yeah, I agree. I concur.
Okay, let's reach down into the commercial fridge and see what we've got for this time. Do I just go random grab? What do you reckon?
Go for it.
Random grab.
Oh, it's another Verdant.
I can't do that.
That's going like down in ABV as well. That's not allowed. Oh, that'll be allowed.
That's allowed.
As it's a modern day classic.
That is, believe it or not, the 6th can of Sonoma I've had in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, have you seen the Craft Beer Channels episode yet? Did you actually subscribe to them after?
I did.
Yeah.
However,
the Track Brewing episode shortly afterwards, and
I've barely
wasn't a huge amount on brewing detail, but there was a few little snippets of information in there that were quite good.
Wow.
But yeah, their tap room looks amazing. I've got to go up there, and they do Sonoma on cask as well.
Sonoma on cask.
Yeah. There's quite.
When are we going to Manchester then?
I was going to say, when's the road trip?
Seriously, guys, Patreon. All right. If you want to see us go to Track Brewing and actually take Andy, get some video footage, all around tap room, as much information as we can garner, Patreon. That's the way forward. Patreon.com/The Hop Edition Podcast. I think that we should do that. Definitely. I think we need to get the boys involved. That's one for October half term, I think.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to pour this beer. What's your second one?
Well, you're going to think I'm a glutton for punishment, but I saw Brett posting up that he was tried this beer on tap and he thought it was good. And this is a beer we've both drunk before and we didn't think was so good out of the bottle.
Oh, you're not, are you?
I had a second bottle of it, so I thought it's time to wheel it back out. Wheel it back out. See if it's improved by just being left.
Hang on.
Cold and neglected in the garage for a while. But
hey, Trick.
Oh, you've still got one as well. Amazing. Has yours still got the nice
floaty chunks? Yeah,
floaty chunks in the bottom. I mean, that doesn't look great, does it? But you've got that stuff floating around in the bottom.
Not great.
Anyway, it's in the interest of science.
Absolutely, and it has to be done for science. Yeah,
we have to go back and revisit and question our opinions that we formed in the past.
I can't believe you're going to drink that shit. And I've got
it smells awful.
Don't pour it all out. Don't pour it all out.
No, I'm trying to avoid the chunks. I want
just literally pour enough for a mouthful. Because you're not going to need any more than that. So anyway,
needing a toothpick after drinking the beer, that would be good.
For those of you who've never had
you talk about Sonoma first, yeah.
It is a barley, wheat, hops, yeast, water beer, so traditional. What hops are in this?
They used to put all the information on the cans, but annoyingly, they've kind of taken it away now. But that's Citra, Mosaic, and Centennial. I believe it's still that combo.
It's an absolute banger. That is a really, really nice beer. It's so good. I've had 6 cans of it in the last 2 weeks. Well, I have now anyway.
It's probably like one of the best sub 4% pale ales possibly I've ever had, let alone just amazing. In that style.
It is amazing. I love the fruity and floral notes that you get off the top. That kind of, you get almost rose, but then you get fruit that flows with it. And then you get this kind of tropical pineapple, papaya, peach, as it drops down the other side. Little bit of blueberry.
Yeah.
I'm getting the blueberry right now, which is strange considering I've just had 2 sausage sandwiches. You get the blueberry, and then you get this wonderful wave of just kind of clean malt. Just kind of clean, pale malt before it's left with pineapple and peach.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell, that's good. That's good. Oh, I'll tell you what I am getting. I'm getting a little red berry. A little red berry right at the end. Almost red currant. That's nice.
Nice.
That is nice. Oh, man. If you guys have not drunk any beers from Track Brewing, I swear you are doing yourselves a disservice. That is absolutely fantastic. And at 3.8%, that is a beer that I could quite happily session that all day. Oh, you did an attempt at a clone, didn't you, Trick?
I've done a couple of iterations of it actually, yeah. It came out reasonably well. Still work to do to nail it down, but yeah. There's a video on that, funny.
If there's a video on it, mate, I need to
watch that video. There's a video on the
video.
first iteration, I think.
Well, if you get any closer with your iterations, please let me know, because this is a beer I'd like to have on tap.
Yeah, 100%.
Very, very nice.
It's one of those though, I think, when you're trying to, like a lot of clone beers, when you're trying to clone something that good, even if your beer comes out really well, when you put it side by side, you just go, nah, it's still nowhere near.
But if it's drinkable,
real deal.
If it's drinkable, if it's the inbred cousin, you can almost drink it. I mean, obviously, brother or sister would be perfect, but you'd take inbred cousin when you're trying to clone something this good, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Crack on then, dude. Let's see what this farmhouse bullshit's done.
The aroma has not improved. It's just a really weird, musty. There's a little bit of fruitiness there, but it's mainly just goat.
Does it smell like it's been filtered through a horse trough?
Something like that, yeah. It's certainly got an element of the farmyard to it, shall we say.
Oh, wicked.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like I've tried I've had a few Bretted beers that I've really enjoyed in the past, and I don't mind a little bit of funk, but sometimes it just goes over a line where it's like you just smell that and think my brain is telling me not to drink this because it's it's probably gonna make me ill.
I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the best beer ever made.
Okay. So yeah, just musty, sort of slightly fetid apricot.
It does say on the bottle second-hand apricot. Say it. Say it.
Oh, there's a lot going on there. Oh
yes.
It's more sour. It's more sour than last time.
Really?
Yeah. I think quite a lot more sour, actually.
Is it sour as in undrinkable sour, or is it sour as in that actually needs quite a lot of work sour?
It's not totally undrinkable yet, but it's almost got to the point of sourness where it's kind of covering up some of the other flavors that were quite unpleasant last time I tried it.
Oh dear.
But yeah, again, it's just like there's sourness, and then there's not much else. There's not much else to back it up. It's supposed to be peach and apricot. It tastes a little bit like peach, but it just to me, it's just like fruit juice that you've just left open for too long to the point where it starts basically fermenting / turning into vinegar.
So what you're saying is it's prison hooch.
Yeah, that's probably. I imagine prison hooch would be pretty close to this. If it was left in the toilet with a sock, for a couple of weeks to mature.
The maturation period is important.
Yeah, that's not.
You're not drinking the rest of that, are you? Do you want to go on? Do you want to rinse?
No.
No.
I've got a second glass.
Hey!
Oh,
that is just rancid.
Yeah,
I have to.
That is grim.
This actually brings me on to quite an important talking point, and that is recently both me and you and a few others have all ordered special price beers from Brew by Numbers, haven't we?
Yep.
I think it is worth just making the point that we think personally, by no means casting aspersions, however, it would stand to reason based upon our experience of those beers that maybe there's a reason why they were being sold off cheap.
Well, they keep bringing back this 50% offer. I don't know if you've noticed, but it keeps like popping up every.
No, I
couple of
unsubscribed.
Weeks. So they, it really does feel like they're just trying to shift stock because they've not quite. The bit of context here is they got a new premises. At Morden Wharf or something, I think, which is where their big new tap room is, and I assume there's a whole bunch of new, brewing kit gone in there as well, having been previously doing all of their brewing under the arches on the beer mile somewhere, and it just feels like they've been trying to like recalibrate to the new system for the last few months, and they're maybe still not quite there. I've not tried any of the beers since that pack, and obviously they will have probably put out loads of different ones since then. But I'm still like seeing these 50% offers coming out and just going, I still wouldn't trust it even at 50% off at the minute.
No, I'll be honest. I signed up for their newsletter, and then I received the beers, and I tried.
The t-shirts are good though.
Yeah, you're wearing one, which is outstanding. However, you don't drink a t-shirt.
No.
And based on what I've received from Brew by Numbers, I don't think I'll be bothering with any of their beers from now on.
They, I bought quite a bit of their stuff during lockdown. At one point, I was sort of like, yeah, these guys are really nailing some of these beers they're doing. And then that, just seemed to go off a bit of a cliff edge in terms of quality control. So
then the incident occurred.
Yes.
Let's refer to it as the incident, because I've got to admit, I don't think I could drink any of their beers going forward based on the experience that I've had with that last box. Everybody loves a bargain, though, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Everybody loves a bargain. I don't think I could drink their beers.
The thing for me was, it's like if it's one beer out of that box, and you'd be like, okay, well, 50% off, I've still got my money's worth. The lager in that that was out at the same time as the batch we both bought tasted like cheesy socks. That was musty. I think that's the one. I've still got 2 cans of that on top of the fridge that I'm definitely not going to be opening.
Yeah.
So that tasted horrible, and then it seemed to have this same flavor, and I don't know what was going on that was causing the issues, but there was some like real musty kind of like not quite cheesy hops, but similar to that kind of flavor, like something that was just stale or
unrefrigerated ingredients
in there somewhere. Yeah. So
it's not what you want, is it? You know what I mean?
No, definitely not. Anyway, my recovery beer.
Gold Top.
So, no, it's not. It's not a track beer. I haven't actually got any track beers in at the minute. So this is a West Coast IPA by Middle Child Brewing, who this is a relatively new brewery that's been set up by a couple of guys, one of whom is Fraser Withers, who is quite well known on the sort of homebrew competition circuit for having basically won everything pretty much up to this point where he's gone pro. And I think this company was sort of launched off the back of them winning the Malt Miller competition with Elusive, where they were basically offering to help whoever won try and launch an actual brewing business, and that's basically what they've done. So fair play to them. Like they've put their money where their mouth is there. And
takes some play, boss, that does.
And this is the beer, so it's 6.2%. Oh, yes, that's a bit of an improvement.
Doesn't smell like goat.
So proper kind of like citrus zest, grapefruit rind,
Lots
resiny.
of citrus in that, then.
Could be, yeah. I definitely think there was maybe either Cascade or Centennial, potentially.
Have they gone for the Holy Trinity, do you think?
Traditional sea hops, maybe some Chinook. I'll just see if there's actually any details on the can. It will probably be like 100% Magnum hops.
Magnum in the boil. Yep.
That's it. No, their artwork is this sort of like newspaper style thing with lots of random bits and pieces on there, but I can't actually see anything about what the actual hops are. Yeah, so that's not that helpful. But anyway, it smells like it's got lots of old school kind of American sea hops in it. Piney, resiny, really nice. I mean, it's probably tasting even better because it's coming after that aberration. But
on the backbone of the gruel.
But that's spot on. Yeah, that's really nice. You know how some West Coast have that sort of like candied orange peel sort of vibe to them?
I always get that from a Citra Cascade beer.
That is really, really good. I've got to say, it's not quite as hit you in the face like bitter as some West Coast IPAs can be, but it's just got enough of that bitterness to make it have that like sticky flavor. Do you know what I mean? Like, for want of a better word, that sort of sticky, resinous kind of mouthfeel to it.
Kind of like somebody's gone, yeah, we absolutely definitely need some Crystal. We definitely need some Old World hops. Let's see just what we can do with these hops in this beer.
I wonder. It's one of those where it tastes kind of caramelly, but color-wise, it's pretty light. It could be one where they've just gone like Munich, like Johnny was talking about. What's his face? Can't remember the name of the guy. Was it Vinny or something like that from Russian River? Was it Russian River?
Vinny Chilurzo.
Yeah. So it could be that, or it could just be really light Crystal. So I think I
like Crystal 30, me mate. I like Crystal 30 for giving that sweetness. It's a lovely, lovely malt. That
Caragold's one that I quite like as well. That's a little bit lighter still, but
yeah, don't put too much caramel in though, because me and Gary had a conversation about that, and I'd actually done a few experiments and discovered that Caragold, when mixed with certain other malts and certain hops, can actually give you a flavor of hazelnut.
Do you mean caramel? Sorry.
Yeah, caramel.
Caramel, yeah. Hazelnut.
Literally. Peanut, hazelnut. Sure? Definitely. Absolutely, 100%.
Lost your mind.
Nope. We both got it. We both got the nut flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Beautiful, beautiful malt. Just use it in the right amount.
That's really, really good. I actually got this with the slightly slightly old and weathered yeast when I got it from the malt miller. So this is one of their. I think it was on offer actually because this was near to its use by date, possibly. So I think I got that for about £3, £2.50, £3, something like that. But
Yeah.
that's a bargain at that price. So I'll definitely give that a go.
Yeah. Gary's just saying he got it twice. I got it once, kind of worked out why I got it and stopped doing it.
What, the nutty caramel flavour?
Yeah, seriously.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a very weird flavour, but it is there. It does exist. You can get it. Very, very weird. So there we go.
That is a strange one. I've not heard that before, I must say.
I don't think. I'll be honest, Tricky. I don't want to go for a third beer. I'm going to be honest. I'm happy just sitting here drinking this Sonoma.
Well, if the Sonoma's still going, then
whereabouts are the Sonoma Hills?
It's
somewhere in America because Sonoma. Right, here we go. This is how much of a geek I am. I used to play a video game called Motocross Madness 2, and in the Baja, sort of like the endurance off-road series that you could do, there was a track called Sonoma. I'm trying to work. Come on, you've got Google and a quiet keyboard. Tell me where the Sonoma mountain range or Sonoma Hills
It's got to be California, hasn't it? Surely.
I don't think it's Cali.
I've just typed it in. I've just got lots of apartment complexes come up, and
just put Sonoma Hills.
There's some stuff in Vegas, but it's like that's like Sonoma Hills apartments. It's not actual hills.
Okay, apologies for the typing.
Hills? I'm struggling.
It is Sonoma County, California.
Sonoma County, that's why.
Yeah, the Sonoma Mountains are in southern Sonoma County, California, with an elevation of 2,463 feet. It offers expansive views of the Pacific Ocean to the west and the Sonoma Valley to the east. Yes. Yeah, and it's also...
What's Sonoma Valley famous for? Because, I mean...
I don't know, probably... No, in America,
dead grapes, maybe. Well, dead prostitutes and maybe grapevines growing on top of them. I don't know.
Well, let's have a quick look. Ecology: Eastern oak woodland, Gary oak, black oak, Pacific madron, big leaf maple, California laurel. It's got Jack London State Historic Park.
Oh, there are some vineyards and wineries.
Oh yeah, a federally designated grape growing region, Sonoma Mountain AVA. Yeah, and there's also a TV broadcast aerial for KRCB on the summit of North Sonoma Mountain.
There's just random and pointless knowledge which is just like somehow absorbed into me without me even noticing.
To be fair, Brooksy's in chat and he went, "Yeah, California, Sonoma County, it is wine." Because it's not like Brooksy drinks anything other than wine.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure that some of the pale ales he's tried to pass off to us have just been white wine. Yeah.
You think that Nelson one was actually just decanted white wine?
I think that's probably what it was, to be fair. So, there we go. So, yes, I am really enjoying... I do enjoy this beer, mate. It is a really good beer.
It's cracking. It really is.
Do you know the thing about it that gets me? The further down the pint you get and the less carbonation it has, the more of that blueberry flavour you get. Really nice.
That mosaic taste just kind of pops up at the end on that one, I think.
It does. So, for those of you who are hoping to see Andy on the podcast today, apparently he has had, to put in his own words, a hectic day. And he was putting the kids to bed and probably had some quite issues with getting the kids to bed after a day in the sun. Kind of like you did last night, Tricky.
Yeah.
Apparently, sunlight in children leads to hyperactivity. Who'd have thunk it? So yeah, Andy's not joined us. We've told him to come on in. We'll just sync it up later, but Andy's not joining us. I think at that point, what we should do is we should say, right, guys, the reason why we've put out this podcast is number one, because we want to give you guys content. We know that you guys enjoy listening to us chat. We know that you enjoy the wonderful meandering sort of, right turns that we take midway out of some conversations. But we want you guys to know that, we are here to stay. We are giving you guys the content. And more importantly, we want you guys to know that in order for us to move forward, we do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/the Hop Edition podcast. Sign up if you can. You'll get goodies. You'll also get us giving you some fantastic content like a podcast, audio, video from maybe Track Brewery. We want to do other breweries. We want to do other things. And at the moment, we are working on something really big in the pipeline, which is going to get your creative juices flowing. And we just wanted you guys to know that this is what we're going to do. And yeah, we wanted to drink beer as well, Tricky, really, didn't we?
There's just an excuse for a few beers on a Saturday night, really.
I'm not entirely sure you wanted to drink that second one, though, did you?
No, like I said, it was in the name of science, and it was an experiment that really didn't need to be done.
It did not. So for those people who are actually watching on Facebook and on YouTube, can we just see how much is left in the bottle? Yep, that's how good that beer was. Tricky has
and the rest
half a bottle
in the glass,
and the rest in the glass. So basically, Tricky's had 2 mouthfuls and decided it's shit.
I was just intrigued because Brett tried it on keg. I think it was keg, not cask. Or maybe it was cask. No, it wouldn't have been cask, would it?
No, I doubt it.
So, and he said it was really good, and it was just like, oh, maybe it just needed a little bit longer in the bottle. It's got
Apparently
worse.
not.
It's got worse.
So another, there's a lot going off there moment. Yeah, I think we're gonna knock this one on the head here. And I think we're gonna fire up the after party for a little while because it's only 9:30.
Yeah,
so we can actually have
quick fire pod.
We can have a conversation with you guys for maybe an hour or so. Which sounds like an absolute win to me. So is there anything else you want to say, Tricky?
No.
I'm going to try and talk the other guys who are on the podcast who have little stickers and other bits and bobs to do with their channel. I'm going to try and get them to send me, because I'm going to be the one who ends up sending out all the little bits and bobs for the Patreons. I'm going to try and get Tricky to send me some Dudes Brew stickers. Hopefully, Andy's got some High Road Brewery stickers.
It can be arranged.
Some Blue Trouser Brewery stickers.
And Andy's rebranding to High Road Hose, though, isn't he?
He is, because he's got that
the casting couch is changing up the business model slightly.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that's the reason why he's not here.
Yeah.
I think he's probably auditioning.
Filming some other high-def content.
Wow, yeah, so I think we'll leave that one there. I'm going to put the links into the YouTube chat. I'm going to put links into Facebook if you want to join us for the after party. Basically, come on and have a beer with us, because that's what Saturday night's all about. It's about having a few beers, letting your hair down and chatting to your mates. And if we can't make it to a pub and see you guys, we might as well do it on a video chat. So
that and getting bullied into joining Patreon as well.
I don't want to bully anyone into spending their own money. But it is patreon.com/the Hop Edition podcast. And I think that's about it, isn't it, Tricky?
That'll do.
Take care of yourselves, guys. Thanks very much for listening. We'll catch you on the next full episode, which will probably be in a couple of weeks from now.
Cool. See you then.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Right, I've stopped Audacity.
Yep. Done.
I'm gonna chuck some links in for people to be able to join now. So for those of you currently on YouTube, that is the link, and the password is there. You go. Password is "there be gold in them there hills," and it's all one word. So
How do
feel
you
free
come
to
up
join
with
us.
these passwords, Chris?
I just try to
wonder
make them
sometimes.
so absolutely. Oh, there we go. Somebody's posted a comment that says, "Your ad really touched my heart. I'd love to buy the couch and help you reach your financial goal for tickling random people's belly buttons." Yeah.
Say what?
Report the comment for harassment. No, let's not go with harassment. Something else. Just scammage. There we go. I'm not even going to bother because there's no viewers on Facebook, so I'm not even going to put the link on there. If you want to join us, guys, get yourselves on there. I know that I make the what you call it, the if you want to join us, guys, get yourselves on there. Complex, but there we go.
Ladies.
Hello. How are you doing, sir?
All right, you?
Yeah, not bad.
All right, we'll stop
Busy
that.
day?
Right, I'm
No,
stopping the
not
stream
really.
to YouTube, guys. So if you want to join us, the password's in the chat. Get yourselves in.